Today, South Africa commemorates Human Rights Day, and Nyakane Tsolo is the man who led this march in Sharpeville back in 1960s. One of the people, one of the 69 people who were killed when the apartheid police opened fire on an unarmed crowd in the Vereniging township. While Nzimande is the daughter of the struggle icon, and she now joins us to talk more about the legacy of her father. She's with us on the line. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us this morning on Morning Live. It's 60 years since your father was one of the people that led that march against the pass laws in Sharpeville. How old were you, and do you have any recollection of what was happening during that time, and specifically in the days following the Sharpeville massacre?
Yes, good morning, and thank you for having us on the show. I just want to make one correction. My father led the march as a 20-year secretary of the PAC branch in Sharpeville. He did not get killed. He was arrested, severely beaten and imprisoned. He then skipped bail after spending in prison for years. And then he fled to Lesotho, from Lesotho to Egypt, then after to East Berlin, and I was born in East Berlin.
And what do you remember around that period? And thank you very much for those points of correction. My apologies for getting some of those incorrectly. What do you remember about that time and the activism that your father took part in, and just the struggle that was happening at the time?
Yes, well, of course, my father spoke a lot about it. Being born in East Berlin, I was surrounded by a lot of political activists. It was a quite political household, of course. When we then left for the Netherlands, I think I was 4 years old. We were refugees, political refugees in the Netherlands. And that's really when, as a child, early on, I got to see and notice what Sharpeville massacre was all about. Both my parents were freedom fighters, liberation fighters. My mother left also in the early 60s and was recruited by MK. My father was an APLA commando in Egypt. And they met each other in East Berlin, where I was born. And so politics was always around us. Not only, of course, the Sharpeville Langa massacre was discussed at home, but my clear recollection was, of course, the Soweto 1976. And from then on, as a child, very early on, I became aware of what it meant to be a daughter of two freedom fighters and what our liberation struggle of South Africa, Azania, was all about.
And what do you take away from your parents and how deeply involved they were in the liberation struggle? What are some of the lessons that have come from watching them do the work that they do and being activists and being patriotic to a country that they love?
First of all, I think you discussed something. It's the love for your people. Always be there to ensure that you tell the history correctly. Also have respect for the so many people, ordinary people, who played a role in this liberation struggle, and that it was not a liberation struggle led by one political party or one person or two persons in particular. It was led by a lot of people that showed humanity, that were brave. The bravery that they have is just amazing, to face their challenges, and that I always need to make sure, and that is one of the reasons why my mother and I established the Nyakane Tsolo Foundation, is to address the challenges of the selective and narrow telling of our history, and to educate and to constantly educate communities and provide accurate information on Sharpeville Langa, on what happened on that day in Langa, in Alexandra, in Everton, that this was a national thing, and to honor people that died, to commemorate them. So that's what's very important, that we call this day Sharpeville Langa Massacre Day, because that's what it was. Human Rights Day is just a way to blot away the dreadful event of the day. And also one of the things that my parents always made sure that I continue to do is somehow be political engaged, talk to people about a lot of things that happened on the day, a lot of things that happened prior to that day, what our history as South Africa is, give them a snapshot, and also to ensure that a lot of people are able to tell stories and their experiences, the untold stories of the day before, of the day prior.
And so talk to us about the Nyakane Tsolo Foundation and just some of the projects that you have been working on and how it's contributing to alleviating just some of the societal stresses that currently exist.
Well, that's, like I said, that is one of the things. It's really to invite positive, left-leaning historians or any historians really to, together with us, do better research on the PAC, on the day, on the various initiatives that were put forward by various people. And also, those are the things that we really, the things we want to do. For instance, if you now Google Sharpeville or you Google my dad's name, the inaccuracies that come on Wikipedia, it's almost quite insulting because the way the narrative is written is almost to say that those victims deserve to be shot because they were a violent crowd or there was a drunkard who, who had a gun and all that. So those things are very important. And also to make people understand that protest is necessary, and especially if you're facing the challenges that people globally face, but that it cannot be blotted out, and it cannot be that it's written in a way that almost justifies the shooting of people. And I don't need to go to various protests that happened after Sharpeville, even during our gained democracy. So those are the things that we want to do, and the programs that we have put forward. We also work with lecturers at universities. We want to work definitely with schools to ensure that history comes back as a subject, a separate subject of school, so therefore not becomes just a part of national sciences and gets sort of, lost. So those are the things really that the foundation aims to do.
All right, Julia, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we thank you so much for the work that you're doing and, of course, recognizing the importance of telling our stories and history correctly. That was Julia Nzimande, daughter of struggle icon Nyakane Tsolo, the man who was part of those who led the march on this day back in 1960 in Sharpeville.